So this is the landing page of my Skoko.io app. So on the landing page, our users or clients can access the login in two ways, either by pressing this button over there or by starting a free trial. Either way, it sends them to the same place where they can either choose to log in over there or they can choose to register. But if they choose to log in with Google, it doesn't matter which button they use. It does the same. It achieves the same thing. So they could use, they could choose to use this button on the registration or on the login page. It has the same process. So when they choose to log in for the first time, this is where we request for user login permission. And at this stage, I'll just copy the URL over there so it can be clearer to see that we do have our client ID and everything that we're doing over here. Just to mention that at this stage, it's just a login request. We're not asking for specific permission for access to the calendar, which is the special request. We do that at a later stage because technically users can log into our account without integrating the calendar. So at this stage, this is just a JavaScript integration for Google login. So it's just simple. The only thing we're collecting from them at this stage is their email address, because we can now verify their email address because they're verifying it via Google, and their first name and their last name, and that's it. And later on, we will do the calendar integration. So for this one, I will choose a different account today. I will log in with that one. And it's going to ask me confirm if you want to sign into Skoko.io as Bertha. I'm happy with that. I will confirm, and then it will log me in. But I have to complete more information. So I'm just going to say over here, this is Google test. Country, I can basically pick any country and any province in that country, and currency USD. I'll just go with that. And then we collect more information at this stage, and the users just sort of select, how do they hear about us and how many employees they've got, and they can continue. And then this is where we show them the prices for our trial. Even though they are having 14 days to test out our product, they can decide which version they want to test, because there's different packages for different versions. So I'll choose the cheapest one for this test. And now we are logged into the application. So this is the login flow completed. So the next stage, I will show you how to do the Google Calendar integration, which is where we ask again for permissions to get access to their Google Calendar. Okay, now that we have logged in and created an account, our users generally, our application has got notes, tasks, all sorts of things. And one of them is obviously, clients can create tasks and meetings on our application. And when they do that, we have our internal Skoko calendar, which can be accessed over there. And it sort of looks like this. When you access it, we map for them the events that they can see the date, and we map for them the events that are coming up. Like this is a meeting, for example, that was scheduled through our app. There's a client kickoff meeting on April 15th, and on April 20th we have project discussion meeting. So if you go on the calendar, on the 15th and on the 20th, this is a project discussion. That's the client kickoff meeting. We sort of map it out for them in the calendar. And then the other thing we map out is the tasks. If they create a task, they can create a task inside of their application over there. So they can create a to-do task, complete certain things by a certain date, so one task is due on the 22nd, the 19th, and the 14th of April. So if you go back to the calendar, you will see those dates that the tasks are due at. All right. So the reason why we wanted to do the integration with Google is so that when this specific meetings and tasks, and also things like invoice due dates, if they have that in their accounting software, when we've mapped these events in the calendar, that they can choose to integrate with the Google Calendar, so that this information also reflects on their Google Calendar, so that they can get the reminders and they don't forget. Even if they've logged out of our application, they can remember the meeting that they have, and they can remember the tasks that are due on a certain date. We just map it out as a meeting on that day, like in the morning, quickly to remind them. So I'm going to use this account the same account I used to log in, berthaeverdeen.io, this is my full names. And this is my Google Calendar that I've used to log in. So you can see here, April 2022, currently, I've just emptied the calendar, so you can see that there's nothing there. This is again the 13th, the same date that matches with today's date. So I'm going to go through the process of the integration so that we can now continue to integrate the Google Calendar. So the user would click on this button over there, and before we just go ahead and integrate, we ask them again, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? Because if you do this, we will be integrating this with your calendar, and things like your meetings, invoice due dates, your tasks where applicable will be synchronized with your calendar, and this will enable you to be notified when tasks, meetings are due and things like that. But we also need, obviously, for them to specify their time zone, so they tell us where they are located so that we can make sure that we match the dates accordingly. And once they've done that, then they continue with the form, and then it's going to go through the flow. Okay, so at this stage, I'm going to also just make sure I copy this URL over here, like we did the last time, so you can see the URL over there with our client information, the client ID over there. So this is a different flow because it's asking for different permissions. It's asking for the calendar rights and the scope. So we've got the Google APIs, calendar, Google APIs, auth, OpenID. So there's a couple of flows that we're asking for here. So I'm going to then click over here to accept. I'm going to click the Google account that I want to use, this one, the Evadine.io account. Then it says, okay, Google hasn't verified this app. Obviously, this is the process we're doing. So I'm going to continue anyway. And at this stage, I can grant the permissions that are in the scope. So the first permission is, see and download the calendar. So this is read only, and the second one is see edit. So we need this one to be able to actually write to the calendar. So I'm going to just sort of illustrate if I only give one permission and I don't give the other one. And if you continue with that one only, it should actually take you back. Yes, it takes you back, and we don't do the integration because we need both the permissions to be granted. So at this stage, the user can again continue with the time zone, and continue with the integration, select the account again, and advanced, continue there, and the last permission that we actually require is that one. So already we have 4 services that have already been granted. These are those services over there. So I'm going to say done and continue here and grant that permission. And then at this stage, it says successfully your calendar was synced, and give it some time, you'll start seeing your tasks and so forth in your Google Calendar. And then obviously we have the button for the user to revoke the Google access at some point if they require to do so. So if we go back to our calendar that was empty already, we should see 10 a.m. tomorrow. We've got that the to-do task and the client kickoff meeting on the 15th. You should also be able to see that meeting on the 15th. And you can see the organizer, and you can see also if there's a guest and in that meeting, and the schedule and so forth. So these are the tasks, and this is a meeting, another meeting, and this is another task. So it just correlates with what we have over here as well. So all that information just gets synced with the Google Calendar. So we can also test the revoke. So when we revoke the access, what we do is we then eliminate or remove or delete the access tokens from our database. So if the client chooses to revoke the access, we no longer have access. Obviously, what has already been sent has been sent. We don't go to delete that because they are revoking our access. We just sort of, from now on, if they add something new, it's not automatically added until they grant us access again. So if they want to grant us access again in the future, they can just press that button again and continue. So that's pretty much the process of integrating the calendar.